Hey guys, it is Sunday morning. It's about 9:30ish, maybe. I wanted to tell you guys how it all started. Basically, how I got from being this guy who was full of life, who wasn't afraid to go anywhere, was always willing to take new adventures, to where I am now. Well, till I got to my lowest point, to where I am now, which is slightly higher than my lowest point. Um, I have good days and I have bad days, which is, I guess like everybody else. I actually have spent the last 2.5 to 3 days in bed because yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have moments where it's just like I don't want to get out of bed in the morning, and that's really rough because I feel crappy if I do that. I feel really crappy. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle. But anyway, so I want to say probably about in October, I had lost my best friend, one of my best friends. She was my soulmate. I truly believe that, God put her in my life for a reason, and I just fell in love with everything she was. She and I were so much alike, it was scary. I'm an old soul at heart. I'm only 24, but I tend to find that I'm sort of beyond the maturity level of those of other 24-year-olds. Um, so when I met her, we clicked instantly. It was such a perfect friendship. We had a falling out, and I hadn't talked to her in a while. And it ended up that, she was going through some stuff, and I understood and I respected that. But I got a phone call one day that my other friend who worked with her, said that she was in the hospital. So I was really upset, I really worried. I have anxiety to begin with, so I'm like, okay, my natural state is to worry. Um, so I said, okay, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? Um, I texted her, my friend, in the hospital, and I said, hey, I said, I heard about what happened. I'm worried about you. Please just text me, tell me, what's going on. So I never got a message back. I waited all night. Finally, I want to say maybe like 1:30, 2 in the morning. I'm a night owl. I don't sleep. I'm an insomniac too. I'm a winner. But I got a message at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning from her number. So I got so excited. I'm like, oh my God, thank God, she's okay. I open it up, and it's her brother texting me, telling me that she passed away. I, it's she was really the first person. I mean, I've had family members pass away, and that's hit me really hard. But she was somebody who I truly like let into my heart, and when she died, it was just I was a wreck for months, literally months. I She was so close to my family, like my family was all in cahoots about it, and it was just really rough. So fast forward a little bit to December. I am at a Christmas party for work. We're at this, I guess, catering hall, I guess you could call it. Really nice place. I'm sitting down eating my dinner. I hadn't really eaten much. I'm sitting down talking to my coworkers. My boss is there. He's joking around. We're all having a good time. all of a sudden I start to feel weird. I'm like, oh, okay, this is I don't know what's up with that. That weirdness leads into nausea. And I'm like, oh shit. Now, this place is probably about an hour and a half from home. So my immediate thought was, crap, if I have to pull over and get sick, who's going to pick me up? I mean, my mom's an hour and a half away, or my dad's an hour and a half away. My aunts and uncles live probably about a half hour, but, it's still a bit of a hike. So my immediate thought is, oh my god, I'm alone. So it eventually got to the point where I was just breathing. Just breathe. Went away for a little bit, and I'm like, okay. So I said to my boss, listen, I think I'm going to go home. I don't feel good. He said, okay, no problem. Ended up getting in my car. I'm pulling out of the parking lot onto the main road, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm going to throw up. Oh, excuse me. So I'm like, alright, just breathe, relax, just breathe. So I'm trying to breathe. I ended up I was maybe like 10 minutes away from the restaurant, and it started happening again. So I'm like breathing, and it goes away again. So I'm like maybe halfway home at this point, and it happens again, and this time really strong. I had to literally roll down the windows of my car, deep breathe, and pray to God that I didn't get sick. Now, I finally get home, and it goes away. I had been literally right around the corner from my house, maybe like 10 minutes from my house, saying to myself, okay, you're 10 minutes away, relax. Because I'd started to feel sick again. So I'm like, alright, this is weird. So I breathed through it, and I finally made it home, and I was fine. Okay. So I went to bed that night, woke up the next morning, I felt great. I'm like, alright, no big deal. I feel fine. Whatever it was, probably passed. I probably ate something bad or something, and, no big deal. Well, I ended up going to work. I work probably about 45 minutes from where I live. And everything's good. I'm having a good day. I'm dealing with customers, dealing with my boss. I work for a car dealership, so, cars. I love cars. Cars are my life. Like, I have an obsession. Like, right now, I have a Ford Explorer, and I really want a conversion van. I don't know why, but I just love them. I think they're so cool, like, especially the old Dodges. But anyway, sorry, my mind gets sidetracked. So I'm in work, everything's fine. I'm about to leave, but right before I leave, one of my coworkers says to me, "Hey, could you do me a favor and go pick up this customer?" Our usual driver was out with another customer, so I said, "Sure, no problem." Got in the car and I started heading over. The customer lived literally 10 minutes away from my job. So I said, okay, no big deal, no worries. I get halfway there, literally halfway there, and all of a sudden that feeling I had felt the night before comes back. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, oh, this is weird. Okay. What's going on here? I'm like, all right. So I'm going to breathe through it and see if it passes. I go and keep going, and the feeling gets worse. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I really have to turn around now. So I turn around. I go back to the dealership and I say to the guy, listen, I can't pick this customer up. I'm really sorry. I don't feel good. He said, oh, okay, no problem. I caught him off guard. Like, they weren't expecting that of me, because I'm not the type of person that's just like, I can't do this while I'm at work. Like, I'm always like, yes, I'll do it. I'll get it done. No big deal. I try to go above and beyond because I love my job. I love the people that I work for, and I love cars. So it's like a trio of awesome things. So I ended up going home. On the way home, that feeling kept coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. And I remember my mom saying to me that if you feel like you're out of control and you're nervous and you're scared, pray. Now, I'm the type of person where I believe in God. I was raised Catholic, but I don't necessarily believe everything. I don't know. I tend to stray away from organized religion a little bit. Like, I feel like I believe in God on my own terms. Like, I do pray every day. I don't pray like I kind of pray throughout my day. If I see something that I feel like somebody needs a prayer, I'll pray. But I'm not one of those people that's like, Bible banger, where it's like, you're going to believe what I believe because I'm right and you're wrong. Like, I don't believe that at all. I think, we all have our own things, and that's life. Um, so I ended up finally getting home, and I said to my mom, I don't know what's going on with me. And she said, all right, we'll just relax, see how you feel tomorrow. If you feel like you can go to work, great. If not, just stay home. So I said, all right, no big deal. I went to bed, woke up the next morning. I felt fine. Totally fine. No big deal. Um, I said, okay, I'll just go to work. No problem. I get to work. Everything's fine. Having a good time at work. It's still early, so I'm like, dealing with whatever I have to do. My boss says to me, can you get one of the loaner cars for me because we have to put in a customer in it. No problem. I grab the loaner car. It's all set. I say, okay, I think I had to get it washed or something. So I'm like, all right, I'll go get it washed. No big deal. As soon as I leave the dealership, that feeling comes back. I'm like, oh, okay, this is weird. I don't know what's going on here. So I ended up getting whatever I had to get done, and then I came back. And I said to my boss, listen, I don't feel good. I need to go home. And he said, okay. He was like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I just really don't feel good. I feel like I'm going to be sick. And he said, all right, well, go home. Just relax, and we'll see how you feel tomorrow. I said, okay, no problem. So the next day, I go home, same problem. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I feel like I'm going to throw up. I feel like I'm going to throw up. Now, by now, that fear of throwing up is building and building and building and building and building. I've since gotten over it, but it's building and building and building and building. So I get home after, going through all the whole breathing thing and praying and, hoping to God I don't throw up. And I feel fine. It's getting to the point now where I'm getting worried. I'm like, all right, this is really strange. I decide that I am going to just relax and sleep. Maybe I'm tired. So I go to bed early. I wake up. I feel awesome. I'm like, good. I feel great. I feel awesome. I'm like, all right, well, I'll just get ready and go to work. No big deal. So I leave my house. I get halfway to work, and that feeling comes back. So at this point, I'm getting worried because I'm like, is something wrong with me? Do I have some sort of weird stomach issue? Like, what's going on? So I call my boss. I say, listen, I don't feel good. I'm not going to be able to come in. He said, okay, no problem. I understand. Just feel better. I ended up leaving. I ended up turning around and going home. And I felt fine again. So finally, I think I had a day off the next day. So finally, I called the doctor. And I said, listen, I really want to come in, just check up, no big deal. My doctor said, okay, no problem. So I go to my doctor the next day, and he draws a bunch of blood, he does a bunch of blood tests and stuff, and he says, you're absolutely healthy. There's nothing wrong with you. He was like, it's not a physical thing, it seems like it's more mental. And he said, and I can't really, do anything about that because he was my medical doctor. He's not like the psychiatrist or anything. So he said, okay, well, the best thing I could suggest is you need to see a psychiatrist. So I said, all right, no big deal. Psychiatrists, I feel like they have such a bad rap, but they help so much. Like, I'm all for psychiatry, 1,000%. Go for it. But, so I ended up calling a psychiatrist, I was going to go see her. But it eventually got to the point where I was getting really scared to leave the house. Because I felt like every time I left the house, I would feel horrible. Like, it wasn't just this fear of throwing up anymore. It was like my chest was tightening. I couldn't breathe. And on top of feeling nauseous, I'm like, oh my God, what's wrong with me? So I go to the nurse practitioner, who was the woman who I was supposed to say the psychiatrist or whatever, and she prescribes me medicine. Um, Before that, I was actually supposed to see another nurse practitioner up in Audubon, and I couldn't go. We were leaving my house, my mom and I started hyperventilating, and I started having a full-fledged panic attack. My mom's crying, I'm crying, I'm like, I don't know what to do. My mom's like, I don't know what to do either. She's like, this isn't you, I don't know what to do anymore. She ends up taking me to the ER. We go to the ER, and they give me some sort of like anti-nauseum and something to calm me down, and it helps, but at the same time, like, I'm feeling really restless. And like, they're expecting me to fall asleep, and I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people have been in the ER. One of those ER beds, they want me to fall asleep on that. And I'm like, no. So I'm like, all right, well, I really want to go home. My mom's like, all right, well, wait till we find somebody, wait till we find the nurse that we were dealing with or whatever, or the doctor. So the doctor says, okay, you can go, no big deal. He says, just hang in there, relax, try to relax yourself. Okay. We get home. I sleep. The next week, I had an appointment with another nurse practitioner. This time, she was closer to me. Um, I had to take a anti-anxiety med to calm me down because, again, I was panicked. I was in the back of my car because my mom was driving me. I was laying down in the back seat, freaking out, hyperventilating, trying to breathe. I couldn't. I got to the nurse practitioner, and I was literally like this because I was terrified. I was so scared. I've never been like that in my entire life. This is so bizarre to me. So I end up, I go to my appointment. She talks to me. We're talking about everything, and she prescribes me medicine. So everything is going, I start taking the meds. I'm not leaving my house. I get to the point where I stop grooming myself. Like, I'm showering and all, but my hair was really long. My beard was like out of control, like even worse than it is now. I actually do need to shave, but it was really bad. It was really bad, and I was like, I don't want to go anywhere. So I couldn't really go down the street, even down the street to get my hair cut. I couldn't do it. So I go back to the same nurse practitioner. This time I'm feeling better. I'm taking the meds that she prescribed to me. I'm using the anti-anxiety meds and everything, and I feel fine. I'm talking to her just like I'm making this video. I'm like, yeah, this is what's going on, blah, 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 blah. This is how I feel, this is blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay. She's like, well, clearly the stuff you're using is working, so we're going to keep you on that. We're going to keep going. I won't mention what that is, just because I know I'm weird with medicines. I know a lot of medicines are different for other people, and I don't want to be like, hey, this works, but it might not work for you as it worked for me, so. But anyway. So she said, the next thing I think we should do is intensive outpatient. My first thought is, holy shit. Intensive outpatient. That sounds like a mental institution. Holy shit. But it ended up, I figured, I looked into it, everything was good. It was going to be a thing where I was going to go to therapy for 3 hours a day, 3 days a week, and, just talk about everything. It's going to be in a group setting, and it should be great because there's a lot of people that, know what I'm dealing with. And I thought to myself, okay, there's nobody that's going to know. There's no possibility that anybody, and I thought personally, I'm like, this is bizarre. Like, I don't feel I don't ever feel like this. Why is this happening to me now? So, I ended up going the first day. This is the craziest part. The first day, the van pulls up to pick me up. Now, prior to that, I was fine. I was waiting. I was ready to go. I kind of talked myself into it. I was like, oh, yeah, it's going to be great. I'm going to go. I'm going to work on myself. I'm going to, I'm not going to be fixed in a day. I know that. But at least I can work on it. And so the van pulls up. I'm like, all right, I'm feeling a little nervous now. So I'm like, all right, just breathe. Just relax. I get in. We start driving. I say to the guy, we're probably like 2 minutes from my house. I say to the guy, listen, I'm really sorry. I don't feel good. Can you please turn around? He says, sure, no problem. He's like, I understand. He's like, but this will help you. I said, I understand completely. I said, but I just really need to go home right now. He said, okay. I ended up getting home. My mom the guy explained everything to my mom. My mom said to me, this is what we need to do. You need to do this. She's like, I don't have a choice. Either this or I commit you. I was on the ground, in the fetal position, hyperventilating, screaming, crying, freaking out like I have never freaked out before. So that was really scary. I ended up getting to the point where I had to take an anti-anxiety med because I was freaking out so much. My hands starting to shake. So I calmed down. I think I slept most of the day because I was just so out of it. I was so horribly upset. It was just awful. So a couple days go by. Actually, a week goes by because I had a reappointment the next week for intake. And so I did my my intake where they get all my information and everything, and I was with my mom, and I'm literally sitting in the chair white knuckling it. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I'm like, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god. What if I get sick? What if I do this? What if I that? What if that? What if this happens? What if that happens? And I'm like making all these scenarios in my head that quite possibly didn't happen, but I had that fear and I had that thought, and I'm like, oh my god, 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 what's wrong with me? So we get in, intake is fine. We leave, and I start to feel a little bit better. I feel good that I'm working towards myself, working on myself. Now, I ended up going through my intensive outpatient. Loved it. I love the people. I love the counselors. If anybody out there is having these issues, I strongly suggest you look into intensive outpatient. It literally changed my life for the better. And it's actually really funny because when I graduated intensive outpatient, the day of graduation, those feelings started coming back up. And and I've learned that in therapy, with my anxiety, it's either fight or flight. And I've always been flight. I'm not one to just be like, all right, I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to let it happen and deal with it. No, I have to be going back to wherever the hell I have to go. And that's kind of how I've always been. So that's when I learned throughout that I have OCD, severe anxiety. But the funny thing is that we need anxiety. My therapist has told me that. We need anxiety because if we don't have anxiety, we can, walk outside into a tornado. Now, granted, I don't have them in New Jersey. Not many of them, anyway. Go outside into a tornado and go, look, a tornado, and walk right into it. Whereas anxiety would say, that's a tornado, run for your life. But, so I kind of had to deal with the fact that I needed anxiety, and I needed to kind of deal with that and accept it, and I have. So fast forward into now. It's probably been maybe 2 months since I've done outpatient. I've been out of work this entire time, and I have really good days and I have really bad days. The past 2 days have been really bad days, so that's why I kind of haven't made a video. Today is a better day. I feel good. I actually slept because, as I said, I'm an insomniac. So, but it was nice because I actually slept and I feel good today. So now I'm just watching YouTube and it's so funny. There's so many things I'm like learning about. Not just yeah, I trip over my words a lot. I'm learning a lot about me and what I like and what I don't like and things I never even knew about me. I'm like, oh wow. So, YouTube has been great because it like really kind of lets you see what you like and what you don't like, and so I don't know if I can mention what I'm watching though. Like, I mean, I can probably put a link, but I'm actually watching this guy. He's really cool. I started from the beginning and now I'm like a couple of videos in, and he seems like a really cool guy. I've actually talked to him. So maybe I'll put the link. But anyway, I know that I'm just starting out and not a lot of people are watching, and that's okay. I have to start somewhere. I have to build somewhere. So if you guys like this video, please thumbs up. Please feel free to subscribe. I'm going to try to make a couple of videos a week just to, kind of take this journey and see where it leads me. Well, if you want to come with me, you're more than welcome to, so please subscribe. Comment down at the bottom any questions you may have. I do like to answer stuff about myself. I'm terrible at asking questions, but I'm good at answering them, I guess. I'm not conceited, I promise. But anyway, I'm gonna go finish this video and see where else goes. But yeah, feel free to follow along. Have a great Sunday, and